Imagine standing on a cliff's edge, wind howling, waves crashing below and feeling no fear, no racing heart, no sweaty palms, just calm curiosity. Now picture a stranger with a knife stepping from the shadows at midnight, and still your pulse doesn't quicken. This isn't a superhero's tale, it's the extraordinary life of a woman known only as SM. Welcome to Mysteries Within, where we unearth true stories of human mysteries that push the boundaries of the mind. Today we dive into the enigma of SM, a woman whose brain lacks the amygdala, the so-called fear center, rendering her fearless in a world brimming with danger. Is her condition a gift that frees her from anxiety, a curse that blinds her to peril, or something science can't yet fathom? Join us on this breathtaking journey into the brain's deepest secrets. Fear is a universal language. You felt it rushing out the door, realizing you forgot your keys, heart pounding as you pat your pockets, or hiking a forest trail, losing the path as dusk creeps in, your stomach knotting with dread. Maybe it's standing before a crowd, stage fright gripping you as you forget your lines. These moments, big and small, are wired into us, keeping us safe. But for SM, fear is a foreign concept, a sensation she hasn't known since childhood. Born in 1965 in a quiet Iowa town, SM was a white American girl with bright eyes, a curious smile, and a future no one could predict. By age 10, a rare genetic disorder called urbach-wiethe disease began silently reshaping her brain, calcifying both amygdalae, tiny almond-shaped structures nestled deep in the temporal lobes, critical for processing fear. A 1994 study by Ralph Adolphs introduced her to the world, revealing her unique inability to recognize fear in others' faces, a first clue to her extraordinary condition. Let's step into her world. Picture yourself as a child hiding under the covers during a thunderstorm, every clap of thunder sending your heart racing. SM recalls such fears dimly, from a time before her amygdala hardened into useless stone. Growing up in the 1970s, she was a spirited girl, chasing fireflies in her backyard, her laughter echoing through the neighborhood. Her parents, Mary, a warm schoolteacher in her 30s with auburn hair, and John, a gruff mechanic in his 40s, noticed her boldness early. At 8, while other kids shied from the dark, SM wandered into the woods at dusk, unafraid, as Mary later told researchers in a 2010 article. By her teens in 1978, her condition became undeniable. At 13, walking home through a rough neighborhood, a man grabbed her, pressing a knife to her throat. Most would tremble or run, but SM, petite with a raspy voice from her disease's effects on her throat, calmly talked him down, walking away without a backward glance. A 2011 study by Justin Feinstein documents this chilling encounter, noting she felt no panic, even returning to the same alley the next day. By 1985, at 20, SM was a young mother, married to a kind but struggling factory worker, raising 3 boys in a cramped Iowa apartment. Life was harsh, poverty, crime-ridden streets, constant uncertainty, but SM navigated it with an eerie serenity. A 2010 report paints her as warm and trusting, chatting with strangers as if they were old friends. One night in 1987, at 22, a gunman cornered her in an alley demanding her purse. While her husband froze, SM handed it over, unshaken, later recalling only mild irritation at the inconvenience. A 2008 review explains why. The amygdala links sensory cues like a gun's glint to fear responses, triggering fight or flight via the hypothalamus. Without it, SM's brain skips the alarm, a trait seen in early experiments with monkeys who, after amygdala removal, approached snakes fearlessly, per 1930 studies cited in a 2010 article. Let's relate again. Ever locked your keys in your car, panic rising as you're late for work? That's your amygdala, spiking adrenaline. In 1995, at 30, SM, now with faint bumps around her eyes from urbach-wiethe's calcium deposits, caught researchers' attention at the University of Iowa. Led by Daniel Trinell, a neuroscientist in his 50s with a steady gaze, the team tested her emotional range. They showed her clips from, and, while others flinched, SM, her face lively, rated her fear at 1 out of 10, asking to watch them again for fun. A 2015 interview via NPR's captures her curiosity, SM wondering aloud what fear feels like, a question that baffled her sons, then teenagers, who teased her for her daring. The tests grew bolder. In 2000, at 35, SM visited an exotic pet store with researchers. Despite claiming to dislike snakes, she reached for a venomous rattlesnake, stroking its scales, mesmerized. Scientists intervened, as noted in a 2010 report. Her sons, now in their teens, shared stories of her picking up garter snakes from roads, unconcerned, as recounted in a 2010 article. A 2013 study explains this behavior. Without an amygdala, SM lacks the avoidance instincts that keep us from danger, drawn instead to novelty, a trait linked to Kluver-Bucy syndrome, per a 1955 study on amygdala-lesioned animals. Science unravels the mystery further. The amygdala, per a 2010 review, acts as a hub, connecting sensory inputs to emotional outputs via the brainstem and prefrontal cortex. SM's brain, with two black holes where her amygdalae once were, as Feinstein described in a 2010 article, disrupts this circuit. Yet she experiences joy, sadness, and disgust normally, as confirmed by a 2015 entry on her case. In 2005, at 40, SM joined a study at a haunted attraction, Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky. While her companions clung to each other, she strode ahead, giggling, even startling a masked actor by poking his costume, as detailed in a 2010 article. Her fearlessness was magnetic, but it came with risks. Ever felt your heart race recalling a close call, like swerving to avoid a car? Fear sharpens our memory, but SM misses this edge. By 2010, at 45, her life revealed the downside. Living in a high-crime Iowa neighborhood, she endured multiple assaults, knife-point, gunpoint, domestic incidents, yet never changed her habits. A 2010 article highlights her inability to learn from danger, walking through the same park after an attack. A 2011 study notes the amygdala enhances memory for emotional events, but SM's recall of neutral events like grocery lists is unremarkable, explaining her repeated risks. Her sons, now in their 20s, worried constantly, one telling in 2010, "She's too brave for her own good." A surprising discovery came in 2011. At 46, SM, still petite with her distinctive raspy voice, participated in a study inhaling 35% carbon dioxide, mimicking suffocation. Unlike external threats, this internal trigger, processed by the brainstem's acid-sensing circuits, not the amygdala, sparked intense panic. Strapped to a chair, SM gasped, her eyes wide, later describing it as the worst feeling, per a 2013 report. This finding, published in Shook Neuroscience, suggesting fear has multiple pathways. A 2017 article reframes the amygdala as a broker, not fear's sole source, with a 2023 study adding that brainstem nuclei can drive panic independently. Let's connect once more. Ever stood on stage, palms sweaty, dreading a speech? Fear keeps us sharp, but SM lacks this focus. By 2015, at 50, she reflected in an NPR interview, her voice warm but puzzled, on a life without fear's shadow. Researchers saw her as a survivor, her fearlessness potentially shielding her from PTSD. Unlike veterans with intact amygdalae, per a 2013 study on soldiers with amygdala damage. Yet her trust in strangers led to scams and betrayals, as a 2010 article notes, her social world a minefield she couldn't sense. SM's life wasn't just a science experiment. In 2017, at 52, she worked part-time at a community center, organizing events, her outgoing nature drawing people in. Neighbors, like an elderly woman in her 70s with gray curls, relied on her calmness during crises, like a local fire, where SM guided evacuations without hesitation, per a 2025 update. Her sons, now in their 30s, marvel at her resilience but guard her closely, aware of her vulnerability. A 2016 review underscores her impaired fear recognition, yet her empathy shines, though she struggles to read others' distress, often misjudging their needs. By 2020, at 55, SM lived quietly, still a research subject, her case reshaping neuroscience. A 2023 article cites her in debates over fear's neural roots, suggesting the amygdala amplifies rather than generates fear. Her fearlessness, a double-edged sword, fascinates and perplexes. A 2024 article speculates her condition mimics ancestral humans, whose lower fear thresholds aided survival in predator-filled eras, a theory rooted in evolutionary psychology. What if fear vanished from your life? Would you embrace the freedom, or miss the instinct that keeps you safe? SM's story, a paradox of courage and peril, challenges what we know about the mind. This is Mysteries Within, exploring brain secrets and human mysteries that leave us in awe. If SM's fearless life stunned you, hit subscribe for more true stories. Would you trade fear for her fearless existence, or is fear what makes us human? Share your thoughts in the comments and watch our next video for another journey into the unknown. Until then, keep chasing the mysteries within.